Welcome back, and good evening for those who are just joining in. Pinotani. Thank you for joining us again, and thank you for those who have joined at 6:30 as well. So every day we go live at 6:30 with the Puja and chanting, and following that, with a short break, we begin our Dhamma reflection and meditation. So, for those who are completely new and have just joined, we daily reflect on verses from the Dhammapada, a book with a collection of Buddha's advice. There are around 423 verses, and most of them are simply advices or advice given by the Buddha, relevant incidents with reflection, or for people or monks and people to realize and enhance their practice. So we have come to the 4th chapter, which is on flowers, and yesterday we reflected on the flowers as a little bit to reference to Buddhist art, Buddhist culture, and also Buddhist rituals such as offering of flowers, and how they help someone to make it as a part of spiritual awareness or develop mindfulness. So we looked at how comparing or using flowers, some advice or many advice given by the Buddha. So today I'd like to refer to verse number 5, which is the 49th in the series of verses, but 5th verse in the chapter on flowers. So it really tells us of how the mind is in that particular verse. So this is how it goes in Pali. Puppani heva pachinantang vyasatta manasang narang atittang eva kamesu antako kurute vasang. Okay. So the general translation is, the man or one who gathers flowers whose of sensual pleasure, whose mind is distracted, and who is insatiate in desires, the destroyer, or in this case, the death of Mara, brings under his way. Okay, so this is about, again, flowers being used, but perhaps in a different context. Yesterday, it was about flower, about how we can see as the pursuit, as well as the comparison of many places in Buddhist literature. Today I want you to tell about how the flowers is used to explain the nature of the mind. So here, in this case, gathers flowers is the Buddha is referring to some type of pleasure or something that can help us understand how the mind works, especially with greed. So imagine a person who actually enters a garden with flowers and will pluck one flower, pick one flower, and keep on moving. And as you see more flowers, the more the person goes and collects those flowers. And sometimes one might see a different flower or a more beautiful flower and continuously pluck them. So the flowers here are talking about the sensual pleasures, which also tells us perhaps how dissatisfied we become with what we have or who we are. And as much as a person is pursuing the sense pleasures, that person will want to gain more, want to follow up more, and want to gather more flowers, means want to gather more sense pleasures. Now, obviously, we are humans. Most of us are not enlightened. I believe if you are enlightened, we would not be in this state. But we are pursuing a path towards enlightenment, and until then, most of us will obviously live with happiness and would want to seek happiness and would want to find security and have security in the living as well. So we are not talking about this here. We are talking about, because as people, as lay people especially, even as monks, they would seek this security in the living, in the surviving. So especially for lay people, the Buddha said we have to have assets, we have to have wealth, we have to enjoy the living, enjoy wealth. So the terms are atti sukha, to be happy that we have something, bhoga sukha, to be able to live and enjoy life, or enjoy whatever you have earned hardly, unrighteously. Then the third one is ananasukha, to be aware and to be happy that you are not in debt. So no debts, and when you have no debts, your mind is free. And as a layperson, again, what's most important is the last one as well, anavajja sukha, to be reflective and be happy that you have not led a wrong life. We have not, so you so happy in the faultless life living. So this is important as a layperson, but what this stanza is talking about is more or less about how the mind would not get satisfied with. So it is like the distinction between the need and wants. And you can take this in any context. Deeper you go, it is about every nanosecond we live. Otherwise, if you take in the gross level, the upper level, it is about the living and the gatherings that we, and the satisfaction we have in the living. So the man who gathers flowers of sensual pleasure, if I reflect on that, obviously we are talking about here in the third sentence, third line, Atittang yeva kamesu. So kamesu here means sense pleasures, and it is about that pursuit of pleasure that one will not get satisfied with. So we have here an understanding of the pleasures that exist in two ways. So person will be happy and sometimes satisfied by gathering things that will entertain them. So you might want to see nice things around in your house, wherever you go. So that is about the external object, something that pleases the eyes. And I'm sure if you look around your house, you have put everything, even the layout is the way that pleases your eyes. And then so most importantly, it is of that sight, objects. So you have things in your house that pleases you. You have things in the house that might please your ears, your nose, your tastes, so your smell, and then your body. So you have things in your house, or your whatever the possessions that you have, they are all, shall I say, properties or assets that you have. And this is where sometimes we reside with greed. So we would seek, or we would not be satisfied sometimes with what we have. We want more. So as much as a person who picks flowers whether it is for business or whether it's for something else or whether it is just for entertainment. And the more you go into the garden of flowers, you will want every nice flower, and you like to possess every nice flower that is in the garden, and you keep on plucking. So you don't feel satisfied with the first flower, second flower, third flower, fourth flower. You keep on going, and eventually what it is saying is that you get dissatisfied. Your mind is not getting satisfied as it progresses. So atittang eva kamesu. So the more you are like that, then whatever you have, you sometimes forget that you have, but you keep on accumulating. So you're accumulating your accumulation nature in the properties and having passion or likes in those. And anything that happens to that precious treasure that you have, you feel upset. You might feel sad, like a memorable or treasure, or the object drops and falls, and then you get upset, you feel sad. Could be a very sentimentally valued object. So whatever you have around is an accumulation that you have. So you have passion or attachment to the external objects that you have, like the flowers. What's more important in this is about the other nature, the within, the internal. So external objects plus the internal passion or greed or attachment that gets triggered every time you see those things. Okay, so we're talking about the internal defilements or the mental thoughts that arise whenever you actually encounter those things that you have actually treasured as well. So it is about the objects that you own, number one. Then second, we're talking about the mental formation within, and how every time you see that you have this refreshed version of passion or attachment, refreshed version of because they are always nurtured with greed, and you don't become satisfied with what you actually have, or even with that bit of mental happiness or formation, let me put that word again, that you create. So it is a regenerated version of your like or attachment that you have had within yourself. So we are talking of the internal as well, not just the objects that we have. So the internal attachment or the thought process always gets refreshed and always gets regenerated. And that is being nurtured by the cross-referencing values that you always have deep within yourself. So every moment as a person picks flowers and then accumulates. Similarly, we sometimes don't get happy or satisfied by accumulating objects that we have, and then deep inside we also nurture the greed or the attachment that we have, which causes more problems. So the unawareness of this puts a person into what the Gatha says, into sort of unpreferable. In this case, it is about the Mara bringing under its way, means sometimes you are so much deluded and indulging in this, and this indulging nature completely makes you forgetful about the true nature and what is really happening. And sometimes you might be watching a television and you don't want to stop it, when you might have been forget that either your back door is open or something is cooking in the oven or even the pot. So you can see how when we are indulging nature, that clinging, that passion is deep within, we become forgetful. And this is what it is saying, that sometimes we become too forgetful, that we forget that we are not here to live forever, and then we might just be carried away by our emotions and our delusions and our forgetfulness nature, and eventually will come to an unfortunate conclusive state, such as death or accidents. Okay, so accidents could be a better word perhaps to actually reflect on there. So not being satisfied, and this is what we have to understand. So we are talking about how this works, and the only way out of this is to develop what I would say a state of awareness and mindfulness. And the Buddha puts this properly for us in the Madhupindika Sutta to explain how this awareness arises within. And we have been reflecting this quite recently. Yang vedeti tang sanjanati. So when one feels, or when one has a contact with the I and the object, when they have this contact, then inside we start identifying and labeling. Sanjanata means, so janata means to know. So the perception that you develop is like the labels that you create, the labels that you think about, or you come to conclusive nature of it. Okay, so what one feels as sensations, that means with the objects, because the perceptions arise through as a conditioning label. Okay, conditions. So depending on I and the object, we develop a thought process basically. So and when we engage with that thought process, we engage with a bit of clinging nature, because once you've perceived, once you've identified what it is, deep inside we start forming opinions and judgments about it. Okay, so so when we develop this, when the thought process is being developed, we slowly start clinging to this. We cling to the nature. And as I said about the external object, you cling because you think it is your possessions. Fair enough. We forget that it is impermanent, but we still possess. So we have this clinging nature even. And whether or not you see it, then in your thought you also now have this clinging nature. I have this much wealth, or I have this. This property is mine, or this sensual pleasure that I have. You know, your entertainment in the eyes, your entertainment in the ears, nose, tongue, mouth, body. You see yourself within these pleasures, and when this perception, when the perceiving is improving, or when it has gone to a further deeper level, the clinging becomes so much so that you cannot let go of that, and you see yourself in that experience. You see yourself in that idea, in that mental formation. So we are talking of two things, as I said earlier. One is the external object, that is the conditioning factors, and then the inner you that gets conditioned by that, and the inner you or inner self also develops as a result of the conditioning nature, and most importantly when they are nurtured by attachment and clinging tendencies or habits. Okay, so this is where we have to be quite mindful. We have to be mindful of this. When this arises, what will the wise person do? A wise person always becomes a mirror. A wise person becomes a mirror. A mirror is just for reflection. A mirror won't take in anything. Similarly, if the external things that you have, let them be as they are. Do not let them affect your mind. Be happy with what you have, but don't cling on to it. Don't start craving for more possessions or more. What the things are there for your needs, and that's very good. That is important. Okay, but don't crave. Don't develop this. Don't nurture the passion within. Don't get conditioned by it. So when the external things are there, it'll be there for you. When you need it, you use it. But then deep inside, you don't. The condition will not arise. So be a mirror for that. So we look at the mirror, and there's a reflection. It'll just it's just a reflection like that. Just let it be free. No, we don't actually we can't change what is in the mirror. So what is there as it is. So look at the object as it is. Oh, that's the table. So in the mirror, you can't change the picture of the table. So like that, the reflection of the table. So table as it is. You can't add anything into the mirror. So the inner you should be like that. Think about how you can stop being conditioned. Be mindful. Yeah, what you see will be there. It won't change. And what you can actually do is stop yourself, the inner you, from being conditioned, the internal factors. Don't let that get nurtured with attachment or clinging nature. Because once you cling on to the internal, because the external is always there, it is the internal that you need to actually really work and hard. So that's why it is said in the Nibbedic Sutta, Sankaparago Purisasa Kamo. It is that thought that has arisen as a result, and when one starts clinging to it, when one starts nurturing it, when one starts getting conditioned by it, then we suffer, we become deluded. So free yourself from that conditioning factor, free yourself from that, and just be, as I said, like reflection. Just see the table as table, so it just comes and it just bounces back. It's in that nature. So you can definitely free yourself from all these conditioning factors that might arise within oneself. Okay, so remember the first few things I said. There is an attachment in the external objects, and there is an attachment in the internal thought processes. So the conditioning factors are also being craved for sometimes, whereas and internally also you get craved for. So you crave for that experience that you actually hold on to, that delight, that excitement, and once that is there, then you always look for it. You always look for it. So the table or the flower may have changed or may have been destroyed, but then that clinging has not destroyed. That thought is there as it is. So we need to make sure that let not that thought arise, that thought that can be so destructive within. Okay, so the conditioning nature is external there. The to be conditioned nature is within. Be mindful of both of these. Okay, so be mindful of the rise of these. So to free yourself from these conditioned, from being conditioned, is one of the greatest things perhaps mindfulness can bring about. Okay, so with that short reflection, we will come to the close of that fifth stanza, where the Buddha used the nature of a flower perhaps collector. A person who goes to collect flowers will always start collecting few, but then will start developing greed by seeing more beautiful flowers and continuously move, collecting more flowers. Similarly, if we are not mindful, if we are forgetful, we will be dissatisfied with two aspects. One is the external possessions or external objects that entertain yourself within. So that is the external factors, that is object, vision, taste, smell, sensation, and pleasant thinking minds. Whereas the internal would be once the thoughts arise with the encountering of, for example, the sense and the object, then that we cling on to that thought process, and that is also, as there is more dangerous perhaps than the clinging to the external object, because in the external object we sometimes can replace, whereas the internal object always develops into further deeper enriching expectation bar that we are talking about. Okay, so with that reflection we will come to a close. So let us meditate for a few minutes. So have a balanced body. Having the balanced body is very important. So sit straight or avoid resting your arms. And put your right hand on your left palm and eyes gently closed. So in meditation, the most important thing is being aware of how still you can be so that you can slowly understand the nature of the mind. So first observe your sitting posture. Be mindful of the way you are sitting. Be contemplative and see how peaceful the body is. It's still. The body is still. When you see the still body, you can see that there is no restlessness in the body, there is no motion. The restlessness would be the fidgetibusness or the motion the actions. So even if you notice that there is an itchiness in the body, you can see it is the mind reacting to the sensation. And if you move to scratch your body, it is about the responsive nature. But if you let it go, you will slowly see that the distraction of the mind can be controlled by letting go. So that restless nature is not there in the body at the moment. Isn't that freedom? Isn't that happiness? So be thankful that you are able to sit down this evening to meditate with the online community. Your commitment should be praised, so be thankful for that. Now be mindful of the people sitting around with you. Appreciate their support. Be thankful for them. The support, the mutual support that you have at home is really important for spiritual practices. And now be mindful of those that are not sitting with you. So don't criticize, don't form opinions. Simply be mindful of their activities and let go. Be happy for what they are doing. Even if they are disturbing you, it's okay, let it go. Now be mindful of the still infrastructure around you. Just your chairs, tables, the hangings, so just a quick scan of the room, the environment that you are in. So you can see that there is stillness in the body and around you. That is to gradually see how the mind is now. If I paused for a while, your mind will quickly go to memories, or even the few scannings that you did, or even the picture that is on the wall. So those are all the nature of the mind, that it quickly wanders and wants to wander, looking for excitement. Remember the inner nature that we just spoke about. It always wants excitement. So free yourself from all the thought processes and just try to be here and now in the meditation. Meditation is not that vacuum of thinking, but the mindfulness. It is about being attentive to observe how the mind works. So the peace of mind in that stillness is only experienced by yourself. Only you can see that peace in that stillness. Others will criticize, but you are still, you are happy, free. That freedom can be disturbed by likes and excitements and entertainment, which then gives rise to conditions and desires. So let it go for a while. Free yourself from those conditioning thinking. Where there are conditions, where there are likes and attachments, where there are ego or personality, there is always dissatisfaction tagged to it. The dissatisfaction follows those. So free yourself from all expectations. Expectations from the people that interact daily. No conditions with your interactions when you talk to people. Don't bring in your fixed views and start talking to them. Talk to them freely. Don't talk to them with an identified idea in your head. So this is how the conditions start coming, and when those conditions or ideas are not met and expected, you have frustration and anxiety, or even disappointment, dissatisfaction, and probably impatience every time you speak or do things. And what gets troubled is your own mind, is your own self. So when you're free, you can free them thinking about kindness to yourself. The more the senses and sense desires are freed, the more you are relieved. And happiness comes from there, not in the expectations. Expectations, even in materialistic things, brings unhappiness. So freeing yourself, discarding all the likes and personality and expectations, you build up more calmness in your mind from that. And let's reflect on these with that note. May I be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to me. May no problems come to me. May no difficulties come to me. May I always meet with success. May I also have the patience, courage and understanding to meet and overcome difficulties in life. May I be free from anger and jealousy. May I be free from frustration, anxiety and worries. May I be free from pain and suffering. Similar loving thoughts will be shared with the ones that you're associated with. Please skip the stations if they are not related. May my parents, grandparents, teachers, uncles and aunts, in-laws, husband, wife or partner, children and grandchildren, brothers, sisters, cousins and nephews and nieces, friends, colleagues at work, neighbors, and neutral people that you see or meet daily. May they all be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to them. May no problems come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May they always meet with success. May they also have the patience, courage and understanding to meet and overcome difficulties in life. May they be free from anger and jealousy. May they be free from frustration, anxiety and worries. May they be free from pain and suffering. May all living beings, including your pets, birds, animals and insects in the garden, seen and unseen beings, including all sentient beings, be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to them. May no problems come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May they always meet with success. May they also have the patience, courage and understanding to meet and overcome difficulties in life. May they be free from pain and suffering. May I be well, happy and peaceful. May I be free from pain and suffering. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So that brings us to the close of our second session, Dhamma reflection and meditation. So as you know, we go live at 6:30 with Buddha Puja and chanting, and then subsequently around 7 o'clock with Dhamma reflection and meditation. So today, the evening Buddha Puja or Vaspinkama was sponsored by Mr. Sujiva and Indira Divas Gunasekara along with their children, especially to bless the departed parents of Mrs. Indira Divas Gunasekara. So, dear Father Gunasingha Mallikarachi and beloved Mother Lalita Perera, may they both rejoice and receive our merit and make their lives happy and peaceful wherever they are. If they are in an unfortunate state, may they recover, may they be happy thereafter, and if they are in a good state, may they prosper and may their samsaric lives be happy, and eventually may they attain the blissful state of Nibbana. So with those intentions, they sponsored, and if you are also wishing to dedicate with righteous intentions one of the Vaspinkama or this puja and chanting and Dhamma sermon, we hold these sermons until 24th of October, so you can contact us and we can help you to support your spiritual and religious practice, to accumulate merit and share with your your dedication. So the sponsors would also like to bless all of you as an online community. So may you be well, happy and peaceful. May you enjoy good health. If you are ill or if you have any illnesses, may they ward off. May you gain speedy recovery and enjoy good health thereafter. So with those kind intentions, we say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So do join us again tomorrow at 6:30. And we will continue with our Dhamma reflection from the Dhammapada stanzas on the chapter of flowers. Okay, so see you tomorrow at 6:30. Thank you. Have a nice evening. Stay safe.